So as we look forward to the playoff against France, both matches, the French media, Liam Mackey from the Irish Examiner, they're looking for inspiration from some of their big players from the past, yeah?
They are, yeah. All the French media are engaged in the countdown, almost day by day build up to the playoffs, with kind of weekly how the Irish did in the Premiership and all that sort of stuff. But they're looking to their own as well, and they're looking to history. And France Football, the twice weekly publication in France, their latest revisiting of the past is with the great Alain Giresse, who older folk will recall as part of a midfield that included Platini and Jean Tigana in 1982 and 1986 World Cups. What's of interest in the context of the playoff game is that Giresse was obviously involved in that qualifying campaign of 1982 when France got to the World Cup finals, and did so only by edging Ireland out on goal difference. And he recalls in France Football that they'd lost to Ireland in the third last game in the group. That was a 3-2 win at Lansdowne Road. And he says while he himself has never experienced a playoff, subsequent to that Irish victory at Lansdowne Road, France had to win their next two games against Holland and Cyprus. So he said it was a kind of double or nothing situation. So to that extent, a bit like the playoffs and a bit like the pressure that's on the French team now. So he described it as huge pressure at the time. All or nothing is the phrase translated literally from France Football. And he makes the point that this could be something similar this time. And he's speaking in terms of the potential of this French side. So he's saying in 1982 or 81 when France recovered from that defeat by Ireland, went on to beat Cyprus and Holland and qualified for the 82 World Cup, it was the beginning of a momentum in French football that took them to considerable success in 82 and again in 86. So he actually says Ireland could be the trigger, speaking of the playoff game, could be the trigger for this generation to go on to do something similar. So at the same time he's concerned that Ireland, because France know them so well, in one way he says that's a good thing. It's not a surprise like Bosnia would have been potentially a surprise for them. There's no surprise package in Ireland, but at the same time what you know is what you fear, and that is that they're battle hardened and they'll be passionate. In a way, all the cliches we know but are turning up in the French countdown to the playoff now. But that's Alain Giresse.
The French coach Raymond Domenech, he's not exactly very popular over here, but he doesn't seem to be very popular in France either.
No, where is he popular, the poor man? Perhaps with his good lady wife, who he famously proposed to after Italy dumped France out of Euro 08.
I thought she turned him down, though. I don't think so. I think that was the thing. That was even further embarrassment to him.
He's not even popular on the home front. The poor man, he can do no right. Apart from the fact that he has France in the playoffs and somehow has retained his job after the debacle of 2008, the French media aren't making anything like the same fuss at all about his remarks about the Irish team. And obviously over here, we in the media picked up on this alleged derogatory remark about Irish football, and the translation over here was that he described the Irish team as England B, and French sources are saying it was England bis, which means more like the equivalent of or like England, which is an entirely fair point given most of the players are in the Premiership. But in reference to his wife, the TV station that's won the rights to screen the Croke Park game, and Le Parisien are reporting today that they may have paid €5 million for those rights, which is absolutely top dollar in European TV rights terms. It's the same company, M6. Normally it's a television station called TVI, and they've like RTE in a sense. They're not a state broadcaster, but they traditionally carry the big games. So they've lost out in this bidding war. And this crowd, M6, also did the Italy-France game in Euro 2008. So it was their cameras were on hand when Domenech, as any manager would if he's just seen his team dumped out of a top competition, responded in the traditional way by proposing to his wife on the pitch, "You now tell me it didn't work." So more sad news for the poor man. But the other interesting thing about that TV coverage is that there's a story that the French Football Federation wanted to buy back the rights because there's a bit of furore about it going from its traditional broadcaster, and sponsors and advertisers aren't happy. Anyway, money, as Bob Dylan says, it doesn't talk, it swears. So M6 have it, and the co-commentator for the game in Dublin is going to be Laurent Blanc, who many people remember for planting a kiss. Didn't quite propose, but always planted a kiss on the bald head of Fabien Barthez.
Larry White he was when he played for Manchester United.
The Whites of Cabra. And Larry is is now manager of Bordeaux and is interestingly being tipped by many as the next French coach. So in theory, Domenech's contract is up with this World Cup campaign, either when the qualifying ends or when the finals end. So if Ireland were to overturn the odds and beat France in this game, Laurent Blanc, the Parisian, is reporting will be co-commentating, in a way, writing his obituary. Up till now, he's very careful not to say too much about the manager, tends to change the subject. So we'll see, but huge pressure on Domenech, obviously.
He could be kissing Domenech goodbye.
He could, yes, very elegantly put, as always, Carl, yeah. The other big story which has entertained and occupied the French is injury worries. The latest on Henry, there were mixed signals in the Irish press, but the French press are reporting today that he's back in training for Barcelona. There's even some suggestion he may play against Osasuna at the weekend. So it does look like he's on the way back, though they'll be still sweating on him a little. Their big worry, of course, and we know about this by now, is the loss of Frank Ribery, who's been ruled out for both games. And Le Parisien pretty much summed up the mood. The headline was, "It started badly." And that's how they reported the fact that he missed the 2 qualifiers and he'll be out for at least another month. And they reported, quote, "Even though it was expected, the news comes as a real blow for Le Bleu of Raymond Domenech. Put simply, they're going to be deprived of their best player for the 2 most important matches of the year. The damage is huge."
Is there much mention of the tickets? I mean, that's the other thing in the Irish press, that the French are going to extreme lengths to stop Irish fans buying tickets.
Yeah, very concerned. Immediately after the draw, that was the very first item on the French agenda, which was to hopefully avoid a repeat of the situation when Brian Kerr took his team out there and something like 25 or 30,000 green mad men and women were bouncing up and down, humming the Marseillaise. And I remember Brian Kerr at the time saying it was one of the high points of his entire football career, just looking up and seeing that reaction. And the French loved it too, but they don't want to see a repeat of it. They're all for the happy-go-lucky Irish and the beer-drinking Irish, and the Irish will spend money and all of that, but they don't want to see them taking over the Stade de France. So straight away, the French Football Federation, as newspapers have been reporting, L'Equipe picked it up, put a number of restrictions on how they could be bought, stipulations they could be purchased over the phone or via the internet, all designed to avoid a repeat of the green invasion and occupation of the last time we were in the Stade de France. So we'll see if it works. The Irish tend to be somewhat ingenious in finding ways around these things, but you'd have to assume there'll be less of a green presence there than there was when we drew 0-0 the last time, and John O'Shea might have nicked it for us.